Euro USD. So now on Euro USD, let me go to the weekly time frame. Okay, so now Euro USD is moving to the downside now. So these are the major key levels that I've already plotted on the weekly time frame. So now price broke out of the range, and also so price broke out of this range and then start trading above it. So now on a normal day, like, so what I'm going to be waiting for, either, so now that price have already broken this level now, I'll be waiting for price to retest. So for this just to be like a break and retest of this level. So for price to got into this level, retest and then starting back to the upside, or these are what can happen on this Euro USD. Can you mute your mic, please?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So what I thought is going to be happening on Euro USD is this. Now, this was a break. So this was price broken out of this range. So price can, so now that price have already broke out, price might just come back down, it tests and then continue moving back to the upside. But if that does not happen, price can just create a price can just form a chart pattern on this weekly time frame. So it's going to be a head and shoulder pattern. So this is going to be like the left shoulder, this is going to be the head, and price will, so if price should continue trading below this level again, so like the exact like what I talked about on DXY yesterday, that I said that price can still break that level, the minor level that price. So price have already got into that level now. So if price should break the level to the upside, so I'm going to be expecting a break of this level on USD too. So if price should break this level to the downside on USD, I'm waiting for a retest of this level. So having price retesting it like this, so price is going to be forming a chart pattern. So it's going to be a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder here. If price start trading below this level again on Euro USD. So this is how I'll be going into a sell trade. So if I go down to the daily time frame, so now this was going to be the left shoulder, this was going to be the head. So now if price start trading below it again, so price should retest this level again to create a right shoulder before moving back to the downside. But what I'm currently waiting for on Euro USD is for price to come back down to this level to retest it before moving back to the upside. So there was a trend line here. So there was a little trend line here back in the top. So for price to come into the trend line, so there was still Fibonacci there too. So for price to come into this trend line level and this blue zone and then start moving back to the upside, or for price to clear. So now if price should clear this trend line again, so this is just going to be like a counter trend line break. So for price to clear it, so after price clear it, I will be waiting for a retest again. So like I said, if this level does not hold, if price continue coming back down like this and broke this level, so I'll be waiting for a retest of this this level again for price to continue back to the downside. So this is just how I'll be getting to a sell trade if price should continue trading below this level. But if price got here and starting back to the upside, so it's just going to be like a touch of this level. And also there was a Fibonacci here too. So from the swing high, from the swing low to swing high, so there was a Fibonacci drawing somewhere around here. Okay, so this was it. So now for price to touch this level again and starting back to the upside, or for price to break it to the downside, it test this level and then continue back to the downside. So this was just what I'm waiting for on Euro USD. So if DXY, so let's quickly talk about that too. So now this was the level. So DXY was already inside this zone now. So if DXY should go rejected from here, so if like Euro USD is likely to respect that level as well, but if DXY should break above this level and then start trading above this level again, so we might have a break of, we can have a break of this level on Euro USD and price will continue trading below it and then continue moving back to the downside completely. That if DXY can break that level again. So let's talk about this GBPUSD as well. So looking at it on the weekly time frame, so this was a major key level. So price was currently at a major level here, and also so price have already cleared all the downward trend line on GBPUSD. They have been broken, all the downward trend line, even on the monthly time frame, weekly time frame. So all just the trend line that can be drawn like all the ascending trend line, they have been broken to the upside. So those trend line have been cleared. So what I'm going to be waiting for now is very simple. So Now this seems like a uptrend market. So this seems like for price to retrace again and then come into this level. So the very first thing I'll be looking at is, so on the weekly time frame, if I draw my Fibonacci from here like this, from swing low to swing high, so it seems like okay, so this was the Fibonacci level and also a minor level. So now looking at it based on this trend alone, so it seems like price might just come into this level. So by the time price will get here, price would already even come near this level. So touch this trend line in line with this Fibonacci and this minor level here. So for price to come and touch it together and then continue back to the upside, or for price, so that's just my look on the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame for me, price can go rejected from here, continue moving back to the downside into this level and then start moving back to the upside again based on this, like this weekly trend. And you know, the other time I said that the Fibonacci might be different based on the time frame. So give me some minutes. Okay, so I'm back now. So like I said, the Fibonacci drawing might be different based on the time frame. So now, based on this weekly time frame, this was where my Fibonacci drawing will start from. But if I go down to the daily time frame, the Fibonacci, the level will be different. So and also the trend. So now what I'm waiting for on this weekly time frame is just, so I said I'm waiting for price to come into this level again and then start me back to the upside. So something like this. Rejection from here, price come back down and then got like for price to find support inside the zone and then starting back to the upside, or on the daily time frame. So if we are to look at it on the daily, so now on the daily time frame, now looking at it on the daily time frame, this was where I would draw the Fibonacci from. So since this was the last lower high before price creates, this was the last higher low before price create this higher high. So now this was where I would start the Fibonacci drawing from. And also there was a trend line here, like a daily trend line somewhere around here. The price was still trend line on daily time frame as well. So this was the weekly, there was also a trend line on the weekly time frame as well. So this was the weekly trend line here. And like I always say, if you are drawing an inner trend line, you are supposed to be starting the inner trend line drawing from where the outer trend line ends. So this was where the outer trend line. So this was where the outer trend line. This was where the touch ends. So for you to start drawing this inner trend line now, you start from where this outer trend line where it ends. So that's where you start drawing the inner trend line drawing from. So now looking at it on the daily time frame now. So this was the trend line on the daily time frame. So if I want to draw the Fibonacci, like I said, this was the last higher low before price played this higher high. So this was where I would start the Fibonacci from, unlike the weekly time frame where I start from here. So now, when you are doing the Fibonacci, most of the time frame also will determine where you are going to be drawing the Fibonacci from. So this was the weekly level. This was the daily level now. So what can happen is, so and also there was a level here too. So let me draw it out. So this level, based on how price got rejected from here, as price was so it was acting as a support here, and also price, it was acting as a resistance at this level. So there was a minor level inside this Fibonacci zone. So this is just how I like to use a Fibonacci, for price to be like for a minor level or a major level to be inside the Fibonacci zone. So for price to come and touch a level like this before moving back to the upside. So what I'm looking at on this trade is, the other time I said that I'm expecting price to come into the weekly level and the Fibonacci before maybe price can continue back to the upside in line with the weekly trend line. But now on the daily time frame, so this was how I'm looking at it on the daily time frame as well. So price can come here now on the daily time frame. Price was getting rejected from here. Price can continue back to the downside, got into this zone and also this trend line level, and then starting back to the upside. So price might not even get into that weekly level again. So price might just even go here and then starting back to the upside. So this was just how I'm looking at it on the weekly and the daily time frame now. So for price to got into this zone and then continuing back to the upside, or for price. So now if price should break, like if price should break this level now, this Fibonacci level and also this trend line, if price should break it and also this resistance level, if price should break it to the downside, then price might just be coming to the weekly level. So the weekly level seems to be around this, so this black line level where this Fibonacci drawing where it starts from. So I think this was the weekly level here. So if price, so price can find support here and then start me back to the upside, or price can still come into this zone and then start me back to the upside. So that's just what I'm looking at on this trade. But the trend of the market can still change completely. So price can still broke. So since, so the direction of markets have been to the downside for like a very long time. So it might not be easy for the trend just to change that easily. So what I'm looking at is price might just form a equal high here. So this was just like a equal high here. So now price might break it to the downside and also clear this trend line as well. So if price wants to continue moving back to the downside completely, so price will have to clear all this level to the downside. So this was the, so if this was, if price continues back to the downside, this is going to be a equal high, and also this is going to be the neckline. This major level is going to be the neckline. So for price to continue back to the downside now, if the trend wants to